guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to be shooting Cinestill 800T, which stands for tungsten in case you didn't know.
Normal film is daylight balanced, and so it's meant to be shot during the day.
It's tungsten balanced during the nighttime. It really illuminates the signs and lights and anything you really want to shoot under artificial light.
But this is one of our favorite films. It's amazing. I have never gotten a bad shot on Cinestill 800T. I think it's an incredibly beautiful film. We both think so. And we love shooting it because we love that we are able to take really low light pictures and photos of cool neon and different stuff at night. And it's also good for indoors, also like artificial light in a studio or something like that. I've never personally shot in a studio with it, but I have shot indoors, and it just gives a completely different look than shooting a daylight balanced film. We're gonna be shooting with that today in this video. And after you check out our pictures, we'll catch you back here in the same spot to talk some more about Cinestill 800T, because I don't think we've actually ever shot that film on this channel.
We have, but it was a recalled version.
That's right.
Which was reversed, and it came out very orange and yellow. So she bought a regular roll, but I bought two of the original recalled rolls.
One of which he shot in that video.
Yep, and the second one we actually flipped in the dark in this room actually. We were able to successfully flip it without any issues, and that's what all the photos I shot were on that roll, so it came out kind of cool.
We weren't sure when we were flipping it, we weren't sure if it was actually going to work, but we are pleased to say that it did work, and it worked perfectly. So, but we hope you enjoy the photos in this video, and we'll catch you back in a couple minutes to talk about it. Welcome back. Now we are going to talk a little bit about Cinestill 800T. Kind of a review, but not really, because we may have already made it clear that we love it. No review really needs to be done, but we just wanted to sit down and talk about it because it's really an amazing film. And I know there's still a lot of people out there who haven't tried it, and we want to tell you why you should.
So first of all, we mainly only shoot it in 120. It's just a little bit smoother,
right? And
just the photos come out a little nicer. But that's not to say the 35 isn't good. Our first trip to Vegas, we both had Cinestill 800, and I didn't have a 120 camera at that point, so I only shot 35, and my photos came out just fine. But ever since shooting 120, there's just something extra that is just nice about them. So if you have 120, then shoot 120. If not, shoot 35. It's all good.
I really enjoy it in 120 because, since the first time I shot it, I also shot it in Vegas the first time like a month after getting my Hasselblad, which is a couple years back. In 120, I was just so shocked by how little grain there is for shooting pictures at night and it being an 800 ISO film. It's just like incredible to me. It's like the exact opposite of a perfect daylight balanced film for night, and on 120 I think it's just absolutely perfect. There's nothing, I don't even remember the last time I shot it on 35mm. One thing I have noticed about it as well in comparing it 35mm to 120 is that the light tends to work a little better on the 120 with metering and stuff. It's like a little bit easier to not blow out your photos. Rather, I should say that on 35mm it's easier to blow them out, in my opinion. You'll get a little bit too bright on the 35mm and you won't get the same smooth darks as you do with the 120, just from my personal experience, and I think Jake kind of agrees. I just think it's incredibly beautiful and it's just crazy how smooth it is. I can't say that enough.
So during the shoot, we went through downtown San Diego mostly, a little bit through East San Diego, through La Mesa, down El Cajon Boulevard, which has some cool signs that we were hoping that they would be lit up, and some of them were, some of them weren't. So it is what it is. Yeah, the ones that were lit up came out really cool. The Chico Club, that was a little further east. And then,
that random liquor store.
Yeah.
A liquor store.
A liquor store that has a really cool sign that we've never shot before. You can't go
wrong with liquor stores.
Absolutely, and this one has a super cool vertical sign. You'll see it. It should be up right about now. And the rest we shot in downtown San Diego, which we don't really know too much in downtown San Diego that was going to be very cool and lit up, but we just kind of drove around and went in like gas lamp area, and it ended up being pretty successful.
Yeah.
We went to the Western Hotel.
No, Golden West.
Golden West Hotel, excuse me, thank you. And Buca di Beppo, the Italian restaurant, and then we ended up going to Mission Hills, this little liquor store we shot before, but we went to redo it, and it was in the rain, and it was pouring on us. It ended up being a really cool shot. Or for both of us, we ended up getting both really cool shots, so I think we were both hyped on those.
So we have a few tips for you if you're going to shoot Cinestill 800T. Honestly, you can't go wrong with any artificial light with this film. It even takes mixed light really well, and I can put in some older pictures of mine as well. If you do half daylight, half candlelight looks very nice on Cinestill. It gives like a really cool orange glow. or just half artificial light, and you have like daylight coming in a little bit through the window. It'll give you like that blue from the daylight and then the warmth from the artificial light. Doing it that way looks really, really nice. And then also, if you're shooting it at night in lights like we did with signs and things like that, do not underestimate this film. So don't be like, it's really dark, I need to have it on a really slow shutter speed or long exposure or something like that. You don't need to do that with this film. Honestly, I shoot it at 1 aperture and 1 shutter speed mostly for the entire thing, unless I think something is really, really low light, then I'll shoot it at 1/30th of a second. Other than that, I keep it at 1/60th, and since I have a Hasselblad, my aperture numbers, I would keep it between 2.8 and 4. Mostly. If something's really bright, I'll shoot it at 5.6. And basically, if you do it that way, it will capture any light.
Mostly, because my Mamiya RB67 only goes to 3.5. So
just your last two.
Yeah, your lowest setting plus on 60. That's pretty much, unless it's really bright, or unless it's really, really dark. You kind of gotta learn from, experimenting. That's what's been most successful for us. Of course, if you're gonna get the film and you've never shot it before, experiment it, do your thing, do whatever you want. But this is just what we've had success with.
Yeah.
So
to the point where we basically don't need to meter anything for Cinestill. I can just walk around and leave it on the same settings. I'll alternate a little bit, like I said, depending on if I think something's really bright. Like when we were on the Strip in Las Vegas, I mean, you don't think, when you get down there, you actually can see how bright those lights are. So that would be more of like a 5.6 or something, just because the billboards are so bright. I mean, it almost looks like daytime at some points when you're down there. But if it's something else that's like kind of smaller, or like I said, candlelight, you might want to shoot it a little bit lower. And by lowest aperture, we do mean the most open aperture. I know we don't like always use the proper terms, but yeah, that has always worked for us. And like I said, don't underestimate the film, because it is so good at capturing light. Like, it doesn't need much help. So yeah. When we were starting to shoot the Cinestill, I was finishing a Portra 800 roll that will be in an upcoming video, and I didn't finish my roll in time enough to put in my, because I don't have double backs on my Hasselblad, so I didn't finish it in time to put in my Cinestill roll at the same time that Jake did. So Jake shot his photo of the Chico Club and the liquor store here and the liquor store. So since I was finishing my Portra 800 roll, I shot those same 2 locations on Portra 800. So I thought that would bring up an interesting comparison, since it was in the same location, but I shot mine on Portra 800 and he shot his on Cinestill 800. So we'll put up the comparison here, and you can kind of see the difference between a daylight balance film shooting neon like the Chico Club and a tungsten balance film. And if you look at it, the tungsten balance, the Cinestill 800, is way more blue than the Portra 800, and you can see it in the sky and the tones on the sign a little bit. Mine's a little bit more orange from the Portra 800, so it's capturing different things. With the liquor store pictures, obviously mine is shot from the opposite side that Jake's is, so you could see the sunset more in mine. With Cinestill, you wouldn't have been able to see the sunset as saturated as you can in my photo, simply because it would have blown out a little bit. Cinestill does that when you take pictures very bright with daylight, and that was like a really bright sunset.
The main difference is the halation that you'll see on the neon lights. You'll see a little bit of a red glow, even just on regular white street lights or white anything lights. You'll see a little red glow around it, and that also makes your liquor store signs or whatever red sign you're shooting, it'll make it pop a little more. The Cinestill doesn't have the anti-halation layer that the daylight balance film does, so that's where you'll see that really big difference in the halation. That just means the glow. So that's been pretty much our overall take on Cinestill. A little bit on Portra 800 versus Cinestill, but mostly just the Cinestill video here, obviously. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope this will influence you to try Cinestill one day. Even the 50D A few videos back we shot 50D at the lake, and there's a picture of her in the pink sweater and it just glows. And the ducks. The duck is glowing and she's glowing. It was really cool. The 50D and the 800T are really cool films, but 800T obviously at night, 50D during the day. But overall, awesome films. They have a very unique structure to them that you can't really find with any other film. So awesome to try, definitely fun in 35 and 120 like we said. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed the video and catch you next time.
Catch you next week.